Hey, you ever thought about doing some beef ribs, but you didn't think, well, I don't know where to get them? I don't know what I'm supposed to look for. Well, folks, we got the tips, we got the tricks to show you where they come from, what you need to look for, even how to ask your butcher to get them to your grill and the smoker. And folks, great flavor with a great rub, so tender and juicy it is. So let's get after it. Welcome to camp, and don't camp look different today. This is probably the best place. I done died and went to heaven. We got air conditioning so good, and we have beef, certified Angus beef, and we are on the road. We are with my good friend Chef Michael here. Hey, it's always a pleasure to be here, and what we're talking about today is probably something that we see not a whole lot of in Oklahoma, and people really don't know, hey, what am I looking for? And that's beef ribs.
It's a challenge for the customer going grocery shopping. We're talking about 3 different style of ribs on one animal. So that's a challenge for people. What I understand as beef ribs isn't what someone understands in Texas, isn't what someone understands in North Carolina. Let's start with these. These are plate short ribs, 3-bone plate short ribs. That's what a lot of people understand as those big barbecue, Texas style, dinosaur style plate short ribs. Not easy to get. You just aren't going to find them.
You don't see them.
Do you see them at all in Oklahoma?
I don't ever see them in a grocery store.
And I'm not surprised because restaurants buy all of this up. And so it's hard for people at the grocery store to find that. We'll talk with Gavin on where this comes from specifically on the carcass. And then chuck short ribs. This is more accessible, meaning you're going to find these a little more easily. See, can you see how it's got these 4 buttons, right? So these 4 bones, a little bit smaller in size, but really for my money, I think this is what maybe you would do really well.
Look at all this marbling in there, Michael. I mean, this just speaks to you. Say, go ahead and buy me. It does. Like right now. Yeah. Take me home.
Take me home. I think so. I think you're right. You know, this, if it were boneless, you could buy that. And a lot of this cut is also known as the Denver steak. If you were to cut these, it's a Denver steak. Then this, okay.
Now I see a lot of them sometimes.
We're friends with these. We've done stuff with this together, haven't we?
Yep.
So back ribs. This is simply from the prime rib. Cutting the back ribs off. That's as simple as that is, right? So,
and they can become a delicacy, a treat, an appetizer, or a full-blown meal.
This beats chicken wings all day long.
Because it's 3 totally different things on one piece of beef.
And some people might see these, but the butcher likes to cut them this direction. They might see short ribs cut in small pieces that way, right? Which is real popular. So let's make it easy for you. We'll bring Gavin in here, show us where they come from on the carcass, and then let you be an expert.
Ooh, welcome back. And remember now, I told you we was going to bring in the bovine cutting expert to help us out and tell us where all these things are. My good friend Chef Gavin from the Test Kitchen Extraordinaire. My friend, it's always a pleasure to come up here and get to see you, because I know you're going to tell me where some of this goodness is all coming from.
This is the plate area. So that's these big dinosaur barbecue style ribs we were talking about.
Now, and they're under one of mine and your really favorite cuts of meat. Is that not right?
That is right. So the skirt steak will be right out through here, and that's just one of both of our favorite cuts. So those plate ribs will be kind of hiding underneath there, right in this section. So you get a lot of that delicious, well-marbled meat from the plate section. And then your chuck ribs, which are the ones that we were talking about, being a little more common in the grocery store, those are going to come from up here. And everybody's familiar with chuck roast, which is up here. The chuck ribs are just kind of down from that in this next rib section over. So traditionally, you're going to see the chuck as a 4-bone. This is what you'll see traditionally called the short ribs, like you're just regular old braising short ribs, and the butcher would cut these across, and then maybe one more time. And those are what you see as a short rib. So what I do is, I call up my grocery store and I say, hey, I'm looking for a chuck short rib that's uncut, because I want the whole piece. Yeah. And I'll give them a call ahead, because they may have, for the day, they may have cut these all up and put them in their out case or something like that, pre-packed them. So I like to call ahead and be like, hey, I'm looking for this whole piece of chuck short rib.
And when we look at all these ribs, what are we really wanting to see here beside that great deal of marbling?
Well, really when it comes down to it, marbling is going to be the most important because that is what really keeps it flavorful and juicy. And that's one of my favorite parts about short ribs is the beautiful marbling. So with certified Angus beef, you know you're going to get good marbling. So I always look for certified Angus beef short ribs. The other thing is a nice bright cherry red is usually telling you they're pretty freshly cut. Nice white fat. Those are all signs that it's a nice fresh piece of meat. And the marbling is going to give you that insurance policy that when you cook them, you slow cook them, it's hours, they're still going to be tender and delicious.
Well, brother, thank you so much for showing us all about these ribs. But guess what? We're going to camp because we're going to fire up old Bertha and make some smoke. Thank y'all for following me back to camp. We did, and it is a beautiful day in the backyard, and whew, beef ribs. Chuck short ribs. That's what I'm going to cook you. And look here at all this goodness that has showed up here. Followed me all the way back from Ohio, it did. Hey, and this video is not sponsored by Certified Angus Beef. I just like the best beef. And that's what I'm after. These folks have always been good to me and took care of me, so we're going to go with it. So now that we know what we picked out, we need to season it ahead of time. And you can do this the night before, or you can do it like 6 hours before. I'm choosing my 6-hour method. Now, to start off with this, we got
a fancy little arrangement.
Oh, look here. I mean, this is like all the rainbows of color. Now, there's a deal called dry brining you can do with meat, and that's kosher salt. And you use about, I'd say, a teaspoon to a pound of meat, something like that. But it's going to help so much with that moisture in there, and we're going to keep it in there. So let's just go ahead and start with the salt. Some of that Kent Rollins blend of Cowboy coffee. I do be liking the flavor that it brings. Y'all probably seen the pastrami video. One of my more favorite ingredients that has come to me, and what is it, Shan? You know what it is. Come on, tell me. Huh? What? Nope, coriander. Yep, ground coriander. It is a great thing, it is. Some good smoked paprika. Some garlic and onion powder. Get out of there. A little hint of brown sugar, some onion powder, and some ancho chili, if we can get it all in there. Black pepper, because I'll be liking me some black pepper. We're going to mix all that up well. Make sure that brown sugar gets crumbled in there good, because we don't want to leave nobody out. So you may have to get your fingers in it to make sure that everything is dissolved well and mixed well. Whew. Ain't that a pretty sight? Look in there, see that good marbling. I mean, the folks at Certified Angus Beef did take care of us. Now, I like to trim a little bit of this excess fat.
I bet Sadie would want.
And I have people here who clean up on the fat content that is trimmed. So we're just going to take a little more of that off there. And we're getting pretty close. And if there's any of that silver skin on there, I need you to try to get rid of it too.
What's silver skin?
Sort of like a membrane that's shiny. You'll see it. It shows up as a silver color. Oh. So we're going to try to take some of that off there. Because you're not going to penetrate this through this membrane, seasoning and smoke as well. So we need to get some of that off there. And I have these subjects here who are saying, hurry, Dad, hurry. I need some beef. It's coming, big.
Oh, Duke showed up.
And Duker's always a little late to the party when the work is going on, but when you break the food out, Duker will show up in a heartbeat. Ain't that right, Duker? So you see we got this trimmed up here, got that silver skin off of it. Now, if this was a pork rib, we'd probably be turning it over here, and some folks do this, some don't. They'll take that, remember that paper towel trick where you just reach that little membrane there off there and just skin them right off there? Well, if you do that a lot of times on beef ribs, and we're cooking them probably 6.5 to 8 hours, depending on the thickness of the meat, you lose your presentation a lot of times because them bones and everything gonna fall off. They say tender when you pick it up. So today, I'm gonna leave mine on there. So get you a paper towel. Let's just sort of dab some of that if there is any moisture back on there. It is time to season. So season generously, and there's so much aromatic flavor coming out of here that I could probably just use this and just go ahead and use it as a chip and dip. So get her rubbed in well. Make sure you get the sides, top, bottom, everywhere. You've seen me just put a lot of this straight in a bag, put it in the ice box. Well, folks, today we're going to do a little different. We're going to vacuum seal it, put it in a bag, seal it. It's going to help that everything get in there a little quicker, and we're going to let it set about 6 hours, and we're going to fire it up. So don't run off and leave me. I'll meet you back at this little smoker.
6 hours later.
It has been 6 hours in the ice box. It has. I took it out 45 minutes early so it could sort of come up to a room temperature. You see me, I got the smoke rolling. We have done split the vacuum seal off here. We're gonna pull out the goodness, and ooh, hey, a lot of smoke there is. What smoke we using today? A little bit of that Fogo hardwood lump, which has got some oak in it. And then we mixed us some apple with it. Fire's down here, we're down here. What do we call that? Indirect. We're gonna lay right over here on this side.
Does it matter which side?
I like to lay bone side down. And then we're gonna what? We're gonna shut the lid. Yep. Magic temperature, we're gonna try to run about 210 to 220 along in there. So we're looking at about probably close to 6 hours of cooking time. We want that temp to come up to about 203 or 4 degrees. But don't run off, because every hour I've got to come out here and check on that temp, make sure we got enough smoke. Do we need to add any more wood or anything like that? You don't want to miss this, because me and the Beagle, we won't wait on you if you don't last till the end. Woo, doggies, as my friend Jed Clampett would say, ain't that a beautiful sight? Now I'm gonna let them cool off just a little. I'm gonna walk you back through that process of what happened when y'all wasn't here watching, okay? About every hour, I'd come out here and check that temp. Might have to add a few more applewood chunks, or maybe even a little more hardwood loop. Now, total cook time on this was about 6.5 hours, 6 hours and 45 minutes. So when we reached a temperature of 185 degrees, we went over there and we got us some of that peach paper, and we wrapped it up and we just set it there. Didn't bother it. Go ahead and open them vents a little much, so that way we get that heat to where it's running about 240 along in there. I want to let it cook till we reach the internal temp of them ribs to about 200 degrees. See this bite here that sort of just wanted to fall off? And look at that bark. Oh, I want y'all to see this here. Look, I mean, that is what I call fine dining. Ooh, cuts like butter, it does. Give me room, because what we're gonna do, we're gonna do the rib dance. Get that rib in place. Woo, I'm telling you right now, the ribs is what's happening. So, I got some loyal subjects that have been out here today, some of them ain't, like Duke. I don't know where Duke's at. So, as always, the Big, who is the meat inspector of any kind, gets the first bite. Sadaloo gets the next bite, and where is the mage?
Right down here.
There's the mage. Okay, don't get no better than that, folks. And I'm telling you, they just be what I call just right.
Fall off the bone.
Fall off the bone. This is what I call a conversation piece, where you can get the conversation to come to a halt because everybody can chew on a bone. Ain't that right, Big? I hope y'all enjoyed this, because we sure had a good time. As always, anything that we used in the video and the recipe and be down there in the little link below where you can find it. But folks, we have been blessed so much. We have so much to be thankful for. Even Sadie knows it. Sadie says somebody's trying to steal the ribs. God has given us a talent, and we're trying to spread it with y'all, and that is what? Hey, good news, laughter, friend, fellowship, and food. That's what it is. That's what we're talking about. So I need you to all come together. Stand up whatever room you're in right now. Just go ahead and get up. Yeah, I'm talking about you over there in the recliner. They're saying, no, I ain't getting up till I have a rib. Get up, I want you to grab the hands of those around you. Remember that song, All the World Needs Now is Love? Hey folks, that's what we're talking about. Because this is a great country that we live in, and all we got to do is be happy, share, and be a good neighbor. Grab them hands, bring them in. Whew, God bless us all, because we have got so much to be thankful for. And guess what? I'd like to thank all the servicemen and women and all the veterans who have kept that old flag a-flying in camp every time me and Shannon are there. And guess what else? Ooh, I'll see you down at I Love Some Beef Rib Trails, and thank you, Certified Angus Beef.
Whoa!
Ooh, we got to back up. Sorry.
Shine